Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler Talk. A week from today, exactly a week from today, Filipinos are going to elect a new president. The checklist of issues staring this new leader, our new group of leaders, is long. There's crime, poverty, pollution, lack of access to quality education, and of course, the one we live with every day, horrendous traffic. But perhaps the most pressing issue of all is climate change, and not enough people really talk about it. It's not an issue out there. We live with it, and we're with two people who are going to tell you more about it. We're already feeling its effects. Typhoons are more destructive, and droughts are longer, and they cause much more impact. Experts warn it's going to get worse, yet the topic hasn't really been part of the May 9 elections. Today, we're sitting down with Senator Lauren Legarda and Ben Mooney of Greenpeace Philippines to discuss exactly why the next president should get serious about mitigating climate change and the major role that renewable energy can play. Please share your questions for our guests on Twitter using the hashtag ClimateActionPH. It is good to have you with us. I mean, Lauren, you've been talking about this for a very long time.
Decades now. And I'm glad that there's a higher level of awareness, Maria, Ben, on the issue of climate. But what we need, the time for talk is over. The need for urgent climate action is here and now. In the studio now, I'm feeling extreme heat.
Yes, from
these glass panels and what more the situation outside. We know that the Kidapawan incident would not have happened if El Nino was prepared for, and they should have because they have the funds for that. Right. I'm wearing this, if I may show this. This is my protest band because this was done by the Manobo women who were victims of the Kidapawan clash, just to show that they deserve climate justice. Now, all of these should be at the center of everyone's governance agenda. It's not discussed much, despite the fact that last April 22nd, just a week ago, 175 nations signed the climate agreement. But what's important is not just a signing, but the way forward until 2020. And we are the president of the Climate Vulnerable Forum,
correct,
a group of 43 nations, which started with 20 vulnerable countries, whether small island groups or states and the middle-sized emerging economies, that put together emits probably only 4% in the greenhouse gas emissions of the world, compared to the 2 digits of the US and China, and even if the EU and India. But with the Philippines chairing the CVF, we want a stronger voice in the global arena to be able to compel nations to really live up to the climate agreement inked in Paris in December, which is to put the greenhouse gas emissions to well below 2 degrees Celsius, meaning 1.5 degrees. And 1.5 degrees, Ben, you know that, is already bad because at 0.8 degrees, we already felt Ketsana or Ondoy. We already felt Haiyan or Yolanda and extreme heat and drought. And so we're talking about double of that. So 1.5, even while we already say will be good for the world and seems aspirational, is actually a non-negotiable mark.
Right.
Yes, well, I'm saying too much.
Ben, I hope you don't mind. Let me follow up with this one. At COP21, as the Philippines was actually pledging to cut 70% of greenhouse gas emissions, we actually, it seems, have regulatory bodies that approved enough coal-fired plants to actually raise the amount of coal in our energy mix to 70%. Right? So was this a surprise to you, Lauren?
It wasn't a surprise, Maria, because we know the numbers and we know the facts from where I sit, chairing the Senate Committee on Climate Change and this year the Senate Committee on Finance. And what we're saying is that all of these coal plants should not have been given the environment clearance certificate in the past few years in the Aquino administration. But there's a chance because not all of these are under construction. At the same time, when you look at our intended nationally determined commitments, or our INDCs, which are now our NDCs, that is 70%, Maria. Don't let it fool us. It's 70%, but conditional. Conditional on technology transfer, innovation, and financial resources. Meaning, we can always say, if developed nations do not give us the assistance, then we will not mitigate or curb our greenhouse gas emissions by 70%. I know what those watching who do not believe in climate or the climate deniers would say. Why should we mitigate when we're only 0.3% or less than 1% in the world? That is not the point. The point is it makes good business, environmental, health, and social sense and more to mitigate and to adapt. Now, back to your question. One hand is doing this, while the other hand is doing this. There's a way forward, and I don't want to fight with anybody because not everything has been constructed.
Yeah.
In fact, you have, I think, a list of all those that have been approved before that are up already and are providing part of the electric or the energy mix.
Wait, I want to go back to you
Okay.
for a potential solution to
Yes.
it. But Ben, so we're talking INDCs, we're talking COP21, we're talking. These are terms that to normal people don't mean a thing. How do you make it relevant to them, and what do you want the new president to do? We're going to go back to all
Sure.
of these things. Go.
I guess it's about connecting these terms with our development pathway. We've been talking for the longest time, not only Greenpeace, but with also other environmental groups about a low carbon development agenda. And these INDCs, as mentioned by our senator, is that these are actually, if I may say, milestones that we need to keep in mind when we are fueling the kind of development, the kind of economic growth that we want to achieve. And by looking at the concrete parts of these INDCs, we are looking here at the country's energy mix,
Yes,
and
yes,
also in terms of the transportation sector. Meaning to say, these are realities that ordinary Filipinos will experience once these policies are set into motion by our government. And it talks about a potential alternative future that does not take so much from the environment, but rather builds on what we have as a country and makes use of the vast amount of renewable energy sources that we have.
So again, I'm going to go back to the renewable energy, but I want to pick up the thread that Senator Lagarde started. I don't know whether to call you Lauren or Senator
Lauren.
Lagarde. I'm going to call you
just Lauren to you, Maria.
So we've been talking about these power plants and
Yes.
and what this government committed to, and Ben brought it back to the people. So the government actually can't build plants. It's the private sector that must build these plants.
Yes.
And at the same time, part of the reason the government said that it approved these coal-powered plants is because it needs the energy now, right? So is that correct? And then if that's the case, you started talking about a potential solution, moving towards renewable energy. Can you, is this the right path? Because we have no choice given where we are in terms of energy needs.
Maria, we have the law. The Renewable Energy Law of 2008, if and when implemented, it's considered one of the best laws in the world. And it really sets the right path towards decarbonization by having clean energy for the present and for the future. And while we can't be 100% renewable today and perhaps within the decade, but a bias for renewables, which is indigenous source, readily available, for free. At the same time, it creates green jobs, and at the same time, it's cleaner fuel. If I may quote my notes just so that
Go.
I am accurate. Solar and wind are already cheaper than coal and don't need subsidies. Of course, people will say, is it true? Yes, in the US, okay, and I'll clarify my statements. Where the industry is bigger and more developed, power rates are lowest when the sun is shining and when the wind is blowing.
Right.
The problem is, and I will acknowledge this challenge, is until we have cheaper energy storage, and I'm referring to the cost of batteries, we need coal and gas in the meantime as part of the energy mix to address the issue of intermittence of renewable sources.
Correct,
But that's
correct.
only for now.
Right.
But as you very well know, Tesla Motors has already have developed the battery for storage.
Yes.
People will say it's still quite a cost and quite expensive. And other companies are rapidly decreasing their battery costs, and they're saying that perhaps by the end of this decade, we will see wind and solar to be cheaper in a 24/7 scenario, meaning there could be renewable energy for base load electricity. So the problem we were talking about with Ben earlier, he's the coal advisor of Greenpeace, is why should we lock in the next generation to dirty fuel? I'll say it straight. The problem with coal is it's a 25-year investment.
Yeah.
And by
It's that
overbuilding supply, we're locking up the next generation to dirty fuel, when we should give our energy policy some flexibility to take advantage of the breakthroughs in technology for batteries that will come in 2020 to the Philippines or even sooner, which is actually available in developed nations like America. So while we can't stop, I'm being realistic here. I'm not sure if my Greenpeace campaigner will agree with me. I'm being practical. We can't stop coal now because the energy mix is 30, 30, 30, or perhaps a little more than that, correct? We can't say, shut them all now,
Yeah.
100% RE. I wish, because there are states in the US and there are cities
Yes,
in the US,
yes.
which is 100% RE. But all those that are planned, I'm checking my notes just so that my numbers are accurate. But with the list that you have, we can't fulfill all of those which have been given, ECCs by the DNR.
Yep.
Because if we follow that, as you correctly said, Maria, we will be 70% dependent on coal by 2020 and beyond.
Yep.
So that is totally the opposite direction of our nationally determined commitments in the Paris Agreement. But to put it simply, we are a vulnerable nation, and we are actually saying, but we are doing this for our future, so it does not make sense. So a person does not have to believe in renewable to understand this. I think it makes common sense to be more prudent, to keep our long-term supply flexible in case these better technologies come. So we can't lock in the next generation to dirty fuel. That's my take on that.
Let me be
Yeah.
devil's advocate, and I'll throw this to Ben. I mean, what Lauren talked about here is technology that doesn't exist yet. I mean, it's evolving, but you're a campaigner against this. How do you address that? This is as much aspirational, right? The movement away. Give to him first, then I'm going to come to you. Go.
It's already existing.
Yeah, it's already
just,
existing.
Costly in the Philippines now.
Right.
But we see how solar panels, I'm sorry to interrupt your time, have the costs have declined by 80%.
Right.
So I said battery storage by 2020 in 4 years. I think even, I'll correct myself, maybe 2 years. Give it 2 years. So my point is, why will you why will you build coal plants for 20 to 25 years when the technology to store renewables, whether wind or solar, will come in 2 to 3 years? So you operate them now and have an energy mix where you are practical and you have fossil fuel-based sources, and you have nat gas as well, and you have hydro and geothermal, and you have wind and solar and biomass, etc. So it's a mix. But why increase your mix towards 70% for coal when the technology for the storage of renewable will come eventually to the Philippines at a cost affordable to consumers without subsidies for renewables?
Yeah, the way to look at it is a transition.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
So
You're the
it's a
expert.
transition. I agree
Right,
with Senator
right.
Legarda about the technology for storage coming in within the next 2 years. That's a very modest estimate. But I think a good analogy here when it comes to coal and renewable energy is how mobile phones became popular. So in many countries, and if you remember Senator Legarda, this was also the analogy used by
Mr. Gore.
Vice President Al Gore. Yes,
I'm looking at my notes when you said that.
in many countries in Africa and in Asia, instead of waiting for the landline to reach their homes, when the technology for mobile phones arrived, they leapfrog into mobile phones. And this is also where we are seeing our condition right now, that renewable energy is a technology that is in transition. It has a very bright future ahead of us. In fact, I have a book here. It's called Crossing Over, The Energy Transition to Renewable Electricity, written by a Filipino author. His name is Engineer Roberto Verzola. He teaches at the University of the Philippines, where he details in this book about how we can make that transition without incurring so much costs, because it's always a question of costs. But in fact, the question of cost has partially been addressed by the lowering of the costs for technological production. So it's no longer a matter of if the technology is here or not, but it's happening. This is something that we will be doing. Whether we agree with the technology or not, it's no longer the question. It's a matter of when do we want for this technology to be mainstream here in our country.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And if I may quote again, the 3-day climate reality workshop of Vice President Al Gore. Yes. And he said this, and this is based on facts. In year 2000, the projection was worldwide wind capacity will reach 30 gigawatts by 2010. But you know what happened? By 2015, the goal was exceeded by a factor of 14.5% times. And globally, wind could supply worldwide electricity consumption 40 times over. The top 5 countries for geothermal: US, Indonesia, Italy, New Zealand, and the Philippines as number 2. Now, when it comes to solar, according to Mr. Gore, and I'm quoting him, in 2002, the projection was the solar energy market will grow by 1 gigawatt by the year 2010. That was a projection in 2002. What happened? The goal was exceeded by 17 times over, and in 2015, last year, it was exceeded by 58 times. And this year, it will be exceeded by 68 times. And enough solar energy clearly permeates the earth every hour to fill all the world's energy needs for a full year. And globally, 7.7 million people work directly or perhaps indirectly in the RE sector. In the Philippines alone, what is our total installed capacity? I think 13 or 15,000 megawatts, but with enough support in terms of technology and finance, we can have what, 13 times more RE potential than our total installed capacity now. And that came from the renewable energy debates in 2008, meaning whatever is the total consumption and installed capacity in the Philippines today, if we focus on research and development, if we put in from our multilateral and bilateral partners, research and technology and innovation, we have 13 times the capacity, not just wind and solar, perhaps even tidal or ocean energy, more on biomass and all of this.
So what's standing in our way? Why are we not moving down this
I think
path?
we are. The fact that there are passionate advocates like us, and there are developers in the private sector, and there's great interest and investors coming in. But you can see there's a very strong lobby to retain and to sustain coal and to continue with fossil fuels, especially coal.
Yeah, I always say that in any project, whether you're talking about renewable energy or otherwise, the biggest guarantor is the government. So if the government says that this is our priority and this is something that we need to fast track, then it gives you those signs that are needed for investors to have that confidence that this is a country where we have a secure future.
Ben, Lauren said that there's a lobby for fossil fuels, especially coal. Who's leading the lobby?
I cannot mention names, but there are powerful people within the government. I would even say within the Aquino administration who are really trying to make a killing out of these coal-fired power plants. They know that they are losing, the coal plant operators, they know that they are losing the markets in Europe and in the United States. And Asia is now their new market. If they really become desperate in the future, they will be going to Africa.
So I have another question in this is, there was a point in time a few years back where we were leading in terms of hydropower, right? I mean, more than 50% was hydropower in the Philippines, and that's changed. What made that change? Was it just because of the energy shortage? Would you know, Lauren?
Oh, I would only surmise a speculation on why hydro, because it takes longer to develop hydropower. At the same time, maybe there were problems with the NCIP or indigenous peoples in certain areas. I'm not certain, but there's so much potential for that as well. And perhaps it is capital intensive. But back to progress in some areas.
Yeah.
In Hawaii, their legislature approved a bill that would require that 100% of their electric power
100%
would come from renewable.
Yeah.
But this is in year 2045.
So they set a goal.
They set a
target.
Goal. Yes. Yeah. And Mexico has invested heavily in wind. And if my facts are correct, again, quoting from Mr. Gore, the U.S., which used to be highly dependent on fossil fuels, especially coal, has less than 1% now because they either shut down the coal or they just closed it, and they're less than 1% reliant on coal. I was shocked to see that slide. The U.S. is no longer dependent on coal, less than 1%.
So again, I'm going to go back,
Yes.
Ben. So if other countries around the world are doing this, what's stopping the Philippines? There's a strong lobby. Is it what else? You're campaigning against this.
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, this is really a matter of the government.
Political will.
It's political will. It's basically your government trying to say something and then doing another thing. And this is very evident with the current administration. We know that President Aquino himself attended the Paris conference in December, but barely a month after that, he was inaugurating the Aboitiz coal plant in Davao. So this is a contradiction. This is something that is very difficult to fathom if you do not see business interests at work behind the scenes.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to you, but I want to throw a question to you that's on Facebook Live, and we see your questions, and madami doon ang nagtatanong na mag-Tagalog po tayo.
Maganda. pero ako po ay bihasa mag-Tagalog, mag-Pilipino po, no? Pero si Maria Ressa ay baka.
I know.
So, actually, gusto kong mas maintindihan ng malawak sa ating kababayan.
Can I ask you a question then in Tagalog?
Ask me in English.
I'll ask you in English.
Sasagot ako sa Pilipino.
So we're going to respond to you on Facebook. So
Sige.
this is from Twitter at Mika Ortega is asking. I'll throw it to you, Lauren.
Yes.
Does clean coal exist?
Is there such a thing as clean cigarettes?
Filipino naman ho.
Paano naman po? Sa aking pananaw po, yan ay isang misnomer. Clean coal, ang sagot ko po, meron ba hong malinis na paninigarilyo? Kung marumi ang coal at may mga particulates at mga dioxins na nakakapasok po sa ating baga na hindi natin nakikita. At saka kasi ang coal, hindi lang po sa pagbuga ng ash mula sa mga planta, mula po sa pagmina ng coal. Marumi na po yan, may pollution na. Mula po sa pagpack niyan at pagtransport. At mula hanggang pagdala sa bansang gagamit niyan, hanggang sa pag-construct, hanggang sa paggamit, hanggang sa pagbuga. Ang tanong ko po, bakit tayo bibili? Why would we be reliant on imported coal? Sabihin natin, may coal sa Pilipinas. O sige na nga, yung coal sa Pilipinas, pero hindi po yan sapat sa pagpaandar ng mga libu-libong megawatt ng coal. Ang tanong ko po, bakit po tayo mananaig or why will we be dependent on a source of energy that is imported na base po sa fluctuating o nagabago pong presyo ng dolyares na ating pinagkukunan ng pondo, anong pagbayad po dyan. Pangalawa po ay mula nga sa source hanggang sa pagbuga ng ash ayan po ay masama, hindi lamang sa kalusugan, sa ating mga ilog at karagatan, sa ating mga kinakain, sa kababaihan, sa bata, sa lahat po ng ating mga rural folk. So, wala po akong nakikitang malinis na kinalabasan po niyan. Kung ang pagpipilian po, ang hangin, at saka biomass, at saka tubig, hydro, at saka araw, ay syempre po, di ba, yung libre na, yung indigenous na, yung hindi mo gagamitin ang iyong reserves or ang budget na dollars na nagabago-bago po ang presyo dahil hindi naman natin sakop ang pinanggagalingan yan. Sana po maliwanag ang aking pamahagi ngayon.
Pero Ben, ang sabi naman ng mga tao, mas mahal ang renewable energy.
Kung titingnan po natin yung pang mas matagalan, mas mura po ang renewable energy. Mahal lamang ang renewable energy sa umpisa kapag magtatayo ka ng mga infrastruktura na kinakailangan, yung sinasabi nating upfront costs. Pero dahil libre nga yung fuel ng solar, hindi ka naman magbabayad ng sikat ng araw, hindi ka naman magbabayad sa ihip ng hangin, hindi ka magbabayad sa tubig na dumadaan galing sa ilog, hindi yan hindi yan nakikita ng mga tao, Ang nakikita nila yung panimula na gastos. At ina-acknowledge naman natin na mas mataas talaga ng konti yung investment na kinakailangan sa renewable energy. Pero kagaya ng sabi ni Senator Legarda, ang problema sa coal ay ito ay nakadepende sa fluctuating prices ng world market. At idadagdagan ko rin yung kanyang sinabi na ang ating coal yung nakukuha sa Semirara ay mababang uri, low quality coal. At in fact, yung ilan sa mga dahilan kung bakit may mga napapatay na mga lumad sa Mindanao ay dahil yung ilan sa mga ancestral domain kung saan sila nakatira ay balak na minahin para sa coal. At nakikita natin na sa ngayon pa lamang ay marami ng pinapatay ng mga indigenous peoples na wala pa talagang nangyayaring large scale na coal mining. Paano pa kaya kapag pinasok ito ng mga dambuhalang mina? So nakikita natin na hindi lamang sa kapaligiran kundi pati sa ating mga kapatid na mga indigenous peoples ay may masamang epekto kung ipagpapatuloy natin ang ganitong klase ng development na nakaasa o nakadepende sa enerhiyang manggagaling sa coal.
Siguro sasagutin ko yung sinabi ni Maria kasi yan po ang linya na binebenta o pinepedel ng mga lobbyists na mahal ang renewable. Hindi po. Ang coal ang mas mahal. Bakit po? Kasi dapat ini-input natin yung externalities na tinatawag.
Okay.
Yung cost po sa ating kalusugan. Yung epekto po sa ating kapaligiran at kinakain. Yung epekto po sa kalikasan at sa epekto po sa ating pang-araw-araw na buhay na permanenteng mawawasak kung ang mga dumi nito ay mapupunta sa ating ilog, paano na ating mga mangingisda, kung ang ating kababaihan at mga sanggol ay maaapektuhan dahil sa mga particulate at sa mga dioxin na pumapasok sa ating mga baga. Pangalawa po, gaya po ng sinabi ko, bumabagsak na po ang presyo ng mga equipment, ng mga parts po nito. At maski na sa kinabukasan, sabi mo nang wala ng subsidiya, sabi mo nang walang feed-in tariff sa wind, sa solar, at sa biomass, at sa iba pa. Sabihin nyo na-consume na ng mga pribadong developer yung mga tinatawag na installation target. Sabihin mo na mag-compete sila sa spot market. Sa tingin ko, yung mga matatapang dyan na mga developer, maaring ipatunay po na magkakaroon na ng tinatawag na grid parity, ang coal at ang renewable. I would like to see that day. Siguro sasabihin ng iba, masyado naman itong nag-i-imagine at masyadong optimistic.
Aspirational?
Well, I'm a perennial optimist and I would like to bet my future, my life, on that future when we're fueled by clean energy. You know why? Because there's no way but to go that way.
Yeah.
Siguro naman may dahilan kung bakit ang Estados Unidos, kung bakit ang Europa, kung bakit ang napakaraming bansa ay binan na yan. Bakit man itatambak po sa Pilipinas yung pinapagbawal po sa ibang bansa? Dahil po ba tayo ay developing at kaya natin at hindi tayo emitter, ay pwede nang itambak dito ang mga teknolohiyang hindi karapat-dapat para sa mga tao. Kaya hindi ko po bibilhin yung sinasabi na, ay kasi napakamahal niyan. Eventually, and it's going to be in the near future, there will be great parity.
On June 30th, we get a new government.
Yes, that's soon.
You know, I wish I could ask, actually, maybe if you'd like to talk about the candidates and where they stand on climate change, but beyond that, if you were in the new government, what would you want this new government to do? What action can they take in the short, medium, and long term?
Ako po, bilang author po ng Climate Change Act, ang siyang batas na nagtatag ng Climate Change Commission, na in-envision ko po yung batas na yan, na ang Pangulo ng Pilipinas ang siyang chairman ng komisyon. Hindi maraming nakakaalam yan eh.
Yeah.
Nung sinurot ko po yung bill na yan, nung 207 at naisabatas ng 209, hindi ko po alam kung sino magiging Pangulo ng 2010. Yes. Yung pala yung katabi ko lang po. Kaya ang chairman ng Climate Change Commission is no less than the President of the Republic of the Philippines with 3 commissioners. Why did I write my law to be such? Because the issue of climate, the issue of urgent climate finance and climate action rests with our Commander-in-Chief because it is the greatest humanitarian challenge of our time and for me, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, national security issue. Conflicts on water and the lack of it. Conflicts on the need for food.
Yeah.
Conflicts born about all the political tension, nag-uugat po yan dahil sa El Nino, dahil sa La Niñang darating, dahil sa kakulangan ng ating mga finite or resources. Kaya sana po, kung sino man ang uupo sa July 1st, ay tignan po ang kahalagahan ng pagbibigay ng pagbabago ng klima sa gitna ng kanyang governance agenda. Dahil ang ating agrikultura, ang ating ekonomiya, ang ating pag-aspire na magkaroon ng double-digit growth statistics, lahat yan ay nakalaan kung ang ating pondo ba ay nakalaan para sa climate action.
You've been very quiet about the May 9th elections.
Because I've been working for what really matters, which is my climate agenda.
So which of the candidates...
And I'm not running for election.
If you were to rate our presidential candidates in terms of their platforms on climate change, where do they stand?
I would have to beg your indulgence, Maria. I would not want to judge my colleagues, my friends, all of them I know quite well, because I would like to give whoever will win a chance to prove his or her worth in terms of the climate agenda. In fact, I would humbly submit a memo on what I believe can help the country, even if it is eventually trashed or never responded to. But so I would not want to make any judgment now. But I would just like to say, whoever that individual will be, must make it a point to look at every aspect, from transport to agriculture, from education to environment, from social work and disaster preparedness. Everything has a connection with climate. So if we make our society, our country, our communities resilient, then the 3 trillion budget which we have for this year can be allocated more for schools, for health centers, for vaccinations, etc. But if we keep on rehabilitating, reconstructing, and rebuilding because we are not prepared, because we did not know there was going to be a drought, which is not true, then we will forever be set back. And our limited resources will always be towards simply rebuilding.
I want to push you, but I'm going to go to Ben and see Ben. Ben, ikaw, what do you want the new government to do? Short, medium, long term?
Ang mga Pilipino po ay mababait. Pero ang epekto ng nagbabagong klima ay hindi mabait. So kapag sinabi natin ng ating susunod na presidente, no, kung sino man yung umupo dyan, priority ko, no, ang climate change adaptation and mitigation. Ito yung pag-uusapan. No? Ibig sabihin, yung ating, sabi nga ni Senator Legarda, no, siya ang ating commander-in-chief. No? At hindi lang ito sa usapin ng military issues, kundi sa pang-araw-araw din. No? So kapag sinabi niya na kinakailangan na unahin natin ang pagtugon, no, sa nagbabagong klima, dahil ito ang pinakamatinding krisis na ating kakaharapin, no? At kinakaharap na sa ngayon, makikita natin na yung mga iba't ibang sektor, no, will rally behind that cause, no? At nakikita rin natin na ito rin ay isang opportunity, no? Bakit maraming pera, no, ang binubuhos, no, ng mga developed countries, no? Kaya nga meron kang tinatawag na climate finance kasi nakikita rin na maaari pa nating baguhin, no, yung landas na pwedeng tahakin ng ating bansa.
Yes.
Hindi natin kinakailangang daanan, no, yung mga pagkakamali ng mga developed countries, no. Alam natin meron silang historical responsibility at kinakailangan ding i-recognize ito ng mga developed countries at maging ng mga developing countries. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na limitado tayo sa pwede nating gawin. At kung ang ating susunod na presidente ay may ganitong pananaw, no, nakikita niya yung ating bansa, no, na isang matatag na ekonomiya na kayang mag-survive, no, kayang maging matatag, no, sa kabila ng samot-saring sakuna na maaaring idulot ng nagbabagong klima, then makikita natin, no, yung ating mga kasama, no, ang ating mga kapwa Pilipino ay mas maiintindihan, no? Bakit nga ba ito importante? Kasi alam natin kapag sinabi ng Pangulo, importante 'yan, no? And I just want to respond, no, doon sa yung mga candidates, no.
So I wanted to ask you, of the candidates, and I'm sure you've studied them, of the 5 candidates, who has the best platform for climate change?
Well, ang Greenpeace kasama ang 40 pang mga organisasyon, no, yung tinatawag namin na Green Thumb Coalition. We actually have this green scorecard. And what we did was to look at their track record and their answers, no, to questions that we sent to their camps. And on issues, no, we have 9 issues, 9 thematic issues: mining, climate justice, energy transformation, human rights, etc., etc. No, so lumalabas overall. It's Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, and this is not an endorsement, no? By the way, but she has the highest rating, no? Followed by Senator Grace Poe with 63%, and followed by Mayor Rodrigo Duterte at 57%, and lastly si former DLG Secretary Mar Rojas,
interesting.
50%.
He's last. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, one more time, it was Miriam Santiago,
Grace Poe, Rodrigo Duterte, and Mar Rojas. Unfortunately, our Vice President did not give his answers, no, to this
and for those of you guys who are following on Twitter, I just tweeted to you that Rappler and Oxfam actually launched a climate change platform for voters that takes apart, and we'll also tweet what Greenpeace is pushing out. Take a look, because this impacts our lives. I want to go back to you, Lauren, and just, I guess, your last thoughts on this. You've been fighting for this issue since 2005,
1980s.
Well,
1980s,
so I remember,
actually.
I actually really remember
Yes.
you made it a platform in
my first term.
Right.
I was fighting for this since my childhood, teenage years. I became a journalist, but in 1998, it was my platform. And
Yes.
I was advised not to make it my platform because I was advised that I will lose if environment and climate will be my platform. But since then, I've been here for 3 terms, and it's what we must do. Everything is connected. Ano pong ibig ko sabihin? Typhoon Ondoy noong 2009, 2.7% po ng ating GDP. Ibig sabihin po niyan ay bilyong-bilyong piso na ating pinag-ipunan ay nawala na lang po sa ilang oras ng pag-ulan at pagbaha. Ang Yolanda po noong November of 2013, 0.9% ng GDP. Ano pong ibig sabihin niyan? 101 billion pesos po na pwede natin ilaan sa ating mga pangangailangan ay nawala po dahil po sa lakas po ng pagdating ng Yolanda. Hindi natin kayang pigilan po lahat yan. Pero kaya natin bawasan kung ang ibang bansa, hindi lang Pilipinas, ay hindi po masyadong nag-e-emit ng tinatawag na greenhouse gas emissions. Pero hindi bale na yun. Sasabihin natin, nandyan na yan. Kung tayo po ay handa, ay maaring mabawasan yung negatibong epekto sa ating pamumuhay.
And just as this question just came in on social media, I mean, what are the other contributors to climate change? Just as a tag on to that, other contributors to climate change.
Well, first of all, the greenhouse gas emissions. No, the others are, I believe really, it's our lack of, well, this is human. It's our lack of preparedness. Meaning, The issue of climate, the natural hazards will happen, but it can be mitigated, it can be reduced if the greenhouse gas emissions will not be as bad. But the effect on the people will be less. We can reduce the risk if we are prepared. That's why I believe in both mitigation and adaptation. Maikli lang po ang ibig sabihin. Mitigation, ibig sabihin, binabawasan natin ang mga pinagkukuhanan ng maruming enerhiya o ng greenhouse gas emissions. Bagamat ang Pilipinas ay maliit lang sa mundo, ang mga malalaking bansa ay dapat mag-commit at lalo silang magpursigi. Pero tayo po ay dapat meron din adaptation. Ibig sabihin, magtanim ng maraming mga puno. Huwag magtayo ng mga gusali sa mga geohazard areas. Mag-ipon ng tubig sa water catchment. Magpalit ng mga ilaw sa LED. So maraming bagay-bagay po na tinatawag natin mga mekanismong adaptation. Pero balanse po yan. At kaya hinihiling ko rin na yung malalaking bansa ay tumulong din sa atin sa mitigation at saka sa adaptation.
They haven't done this yet, right? The climate financing
yung Green
isn't set
Climate
yet.
Fund na tinatawag ay nandyan na nakahain, pero alam ko may iilan pa lang hindi pa fully operational. Yan ang aking pagkaintindi.
Okay. And Ben, you are dedicating your life to this also right now. Why and how can you convince others that this is an important thing, much like Lauren is focused on?
Yeah, siguro I will situate this in the context of development. No? Because that's always, ito yung laging sinasabi ng ating mga leaders, no? Na kinakailangan nating ng progress, kinakailangan natin ng development, economic growth. But I just like to remind ourselves that the right to development is not a right to pollute. It is something that we must practice with caution, because with that right also comes our responsibility. No, in environmental jargon, no, we call it the intergenerational responsibility. Meron tayong responsibilidad para sa mga susunod na salinlahi. Ito yung mga magiging anak, mga apo, at magiging mga anak at apo pa ng mga anak natin. At nandito tayo ngayon sa yugto, no, ng kasaysayan, no, ng mundo, no, hindi lamang ng Pilipinas, na kung saan malaki ang ating magagawa. At kung hindi natin gagawin yung kaya nating gawin, ano ang kahihinatnan ng mundong ito at ano ang kinabukasan, no, na ipapamana natin sa ating mga susunod na henerasyon. So, yun na isang malaking katanungan at yun ang isang tanong na kinakailangang sagutin ng susunod na Pangulo ng Pilipinas.
I guess at the end of the day, let's just look at our rivers and our seas and our mountains. What have we done with it? Have we polluted it or have we sustained it? Are our forests bald? Have we illegally logged it or have we replanted it?
Not yet.
And so the time for urgent climate action is not tomorrow. It's now. And let it be said, Maria, Ben, that during our watch, with our influence and our power, with our resources and our wisdom, that we did something to make our earth and our environment and our communities cleaner, safer, healthier, more resilient.
Fantastic. Yes. Thank you, Ben Mooney from Greenpeace, Senator Lauren Legarda. You know, of course, that Rappler has AGOS, which is a foundation for what we've done, and talking about many of the same things that you have. Thank you for joining us. We believe this is the issue of our generation. Vote wisely, vote well. Come next Monday. We've been speaking to Senator Lauren Legarda and Ruben Mooney of Greenpeace Philippines about our single largest issue that could impact all of our lives. I'm Maria Ressa. Thank you for watching. We also want to thank our partner for #ClimateActionPH, Green Convergence.